Hello, BKFK listeners. Today we bring you the first episode of Winnie the Pooh. This is a bonus series for our Patreon supporters, but we thought you might like to hear the first chapter. We'll be producing a new Winnie the Pooh episode every second week, as well as all the normal BKFK stories. You'll be able to hear more Winnie the Pooh episodes as they come out on Patreon. Just go to patreon.com and search for By Kids for Kids Storytime. Allow me to introduce you to our fantastic performers.
I'm Cherish as Winnie the Pooh. I'm 11 years old and I'm from Singapore. I sing and play the piano.
And Goldie, who is Christopher Robin. I am 8 years old and I really love writing stories. And I'm from Kyneton, Australia.
Well done, guys. Okay, Ruby, let's do it.
Winnie the Pooh. Chapter 1, Part 1, in which we are introduced to Winnie the Pooh and some bees, and the stories begin. Here is Edward Bear coming downstairs now. Bump, bump, bump on the back of his head behind Christopher Robin. It is, as far as he knows, the only way of coming downstairs, but sometimes he feels that there really is another way, if only he could stop bumping for a moment and think of it. And then he feels that perhaps there isn't. Anyhow, here he is at the bottom and ready to be introduced to you, Winnie the Pooh. When I first heard his name, I said, just as you are going to say, but I thought he was a boy.
So did I.
Said Christopher Robin. Then you can't call him Winnie?
I don't.
But you said...
He's Winnie the Pooh. Don't you know what the means?
Ah, yes, now I do, and I hope you do too, because it is all the explanation you're going to get. Sometimes Winnie the Pooh likes a game of some sort when he comes downstairs, and sometimes he likes to sit quietly in front of the fire and listen to a story. This evening...
What about a story?
What about a story?
Could you very sweetly tell Winnie the Pooh one?
I suppose I could. What sort of stories does he like?
About himself. Because he's that sort of bear.
Oh, I see.
So could you very sweetly?
I'll try. So I tried. Once upon a time, a very long time ago now, about last Friday, Winnie the Pooh lived in a forest all by himself under the name of Sanders.
What does under the name mean?
It means he had the name over the door in gold letters and lived under it.
Winnie the Pooh wasn't quite sure.
Now I am,
said a growly voice. One day when he was out walking, he came to an open place in the middle of the forest, and in the middle of this place was a large oak tree, and from the top of the tree there came a loud buzzing noise. Winnie the Pooh sat down at the foot of the tree, put his head between his paws, and began to think. First of all, he said to himself,
that buzzing noise means something. You don't get a buzzing noise like that, just buzzing and buzzing without its meaning something. If there's a buzzing noise, somebody's making a buzzing noise. And the only reason for making a buzzing noise that I know of is because you're a bee.
Then he thought another long time and said,
and the only reason for being a bee that I know of is making honey.
And then he got up and said,
and the only reason for making honey is so as I can eat it.
So he began to climb the tree. He climbed and he climbed and he climbed. And as he climbed, he sang a little song to himself. It went like this.
Isn't it funny how a bear likes honey? Buzz, buzz, buzz. I wonder why he does.
Then he climbed a little further. And a little further. And then just a little further. By that time, he had thought of another song.
It's a very funny thought that if bears were bees, they'd build their nests at the bottom of trees. And that being so, if the bees were bears, we shouldn't have to climb up all these stairs.
He was getting rather tired by this time, so that is why he sang a complaining song. He was nearly there now, and if he just stood on that branch...
Oh, help!
Said Pooh as he dropped 10 feet onto the branch below him.
If only I hadn't...
He said as he bounced 20 feet onto the next branch.
You see, what I meant to do...
He explained as he turned head over heels and crashed onto another branch 30 feet below.
What I meant to do... Of course, it was rather...
He admitted as he slithered very quickly through the next 6 branches.
It all comes, I suppose.
He decided as he said goodbye to the last branch, spun round 3 times, and flew gracefully into a gorse bush.
It all comes of liking honey so much. Oh, help! Ow!
He crawled out of the gorse bush, brushed the prickles from his nose, and began to think again. And the first person he thought of was Christopher Robin. So Winnie the Pooh went round to his friend, who lived behind a green door in another part of the forest.
Good morning, Christopher Robin.
He said,
Good morning, Winnie the Pooh.
said Christopher Robin.
I wonder if you've got such a thing as a balloon about you.
A balloon?
Yes, I just said to myself coming along. I wonder if Christopher Robin has such a thing as a balloon about him. I just said it to myself, thinking of balloons and wondering.
What do you want a balloon for?
Winnie the Pooh looked round to see that nobody was listening, put his paw to his mouth, and said in a deep whisper,
Honey.
But you don't get honey with balloons.
I do.
Well, it just happened that Christopher Robin had been to a party the day before at the house of his friend Piglet. And they had balloons at the party. Christopher Robin had a big green balloon, and one of the rabbit's relations had had a big blue one, and had left it behind, being really too young to go to a party at all. And so Christopher Robin brought the green one and the blue one home with him.
Which one would you like?
Christopher Robin asked Pooh. Pooh put his head between his paws and thought very carefully.
It's like this. When you go after honey with a balloon, the great thing is not to let the bees know you're coming. Now, if you have a green balloon, they might think you were only part of the tree and not notice you. And if you have a blue balloon, they might think you were only part of the sky and not notice you. And the question is, which is most likely?
Wouldn't they notice you underneath the balloon?
They might or they might not. You never can tell with bees.
He thought for a moment and said,
I shall try to look like a small black cloud. That will deceive them.
Then you better have the blue balloon.
Christopher Robin said, and so it was decided.
Hey guys, if you like this episode, please share it with your friends and family. It is one of the best ways to support BKFK Storytime.